fight fans, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Classic MMA Revival. I am the most dangerous man alive today, and tonight I'm joined once again by Alistair, our favorite fighting Australian.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is always good to be on the Pride Resurrection channel.
And always good to have him. And tonight we're going to be watching Vale Tudo Japan 1997, continuing our series of classic MMA duos where we watch the Vale Tudo Japan events. Tonight, this event, it's going to be an exciting one. It's headlined by Frank Shamrock versus Enson Inoue. And it has a couple, I want to say returning faces that have been in Vale Tudo Japan, but faces...
Yes, a couple of those. A couple of names, sort of big names later on in their careers. Like we've got Carlos Newton, we've got Hayato Maha Sakurai, who will eventually pop up in Pride. And as was mentioned, we have Frank and Enson.
And also the biggest of them all, Illinois pig fucker, Tom Erikson. He was on a tear during this time, but we'll get more into that later. So some returning faces from Vale Tudo Japan, some new faces that we know. So it should be a good event. Anyway, this event was held on November 29th of 1997. It was held at the Tokyo Bay NK Hall in Ueyasa, Chiba, Japan. Unknown attendance, but I think we'll be able to discern that there might be a smattering of people in the audience. That probably not.
There's a few.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that this holds about 5,000 people, maybe. The NK Hall?
I think the NK Hall holds about 5.
It's not close to that, but that's okay. I guess nothing more to say except ready to play the video. So let's do it. Play. Here we go. Hopefully, let's make sure that this is not turned up too loud. Don't want to drown out Alistair over there.
Don't want to deafen the audience as well.
Whoa.
So we've got Ruben Asato there. This is Keiji Kawaguchi, who we have seen before on Vale Tudo Japan. We saw him get his ass kicked at Vale Tudo Japan 94. There's a baby-faced Enson Inoue.
Yeah, Enson was in
before he got really big.
Yeah, who is he? Which event did he fight against the cheating fuck Rene Ruse?
Rene Ruse. That was 96. That was the last time we saw him.
Okay. Here we go. Some spoiling. I love it when the promotion do this, where they
plays half the plays half the event before we get started.
Yeah. Just to give you, I guess, a taste of the action to come, but they could have just used file footage of the guys from the previous Vale Tudo Japans. I don't know why they want to even. I don't know. I guess I don't get it. Why would you use clips and montage of the event that you're going to be watching
at the start? Well, I don't know. Maybe they're just keeping up the tradition from that time they did it at Vale Tudo Japan 94 and spoiled the whole event.
Right.
With Hicks and Gracie with the giant trophy at the end.
Okay, so we are watching a very kind of a condensed DVD rip here. And I understand this was on DVD, so the event already happened. But it'd be like if you're watching the World Series, and before the World Series began, they like spoiled like home runs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like hits or like a strikeout or whatever. Anyway.
All right, here we have Jutaro Nakao taking on Steve Nelson. Steve Nelson, he at this point was 3-1 with his only loss to Half Gracie, sorry. He fought in Union of Shoot Wrestling Federation or something like that. He later would go on to UWFI and is being interviewed recently by friends of the show, We Are Rising podcast.
Yeah, and I recently did a second interview with the second half of the better half, maybe it is, of We Are Rising. Well, I don't know. Who knows? But maybe that'll come out soon. I'm hoping. I think I seen Steve Nelson. Maybe did he wrestle Nobuhiko Takada once?
I don't know about Takada. There's one of him wrestling Sakuraba on YouTube somewhere.
Maybe I'm thinking of another generic white boy in a singlet that wrestled
probably.
Takada. He had a couple of those in the UWFI.
Yeah, you're probably thinking Dwayne Kozlowski, sorry.
Yeah, that could be it. Man, you know your UWFI better than me. Well, you know what about the UWFI? Did all the Americans, were they all forced to wear singlets? Because
not 100% sure, but they were all the right size and shape for singlets. Like, you got to be one of two shapes to wear a wrestling singlet. You've either got to be like ungodly fucking jacked, like just crazy large, or you got to be big and burly. Yeah. So we had Dwayne Kozlowski. He was ungodly jacked. He was on the sauce, and then we had shaved Bigfoot. Yeah, shaved Bigfoot. Fuck, who's that? I'm trying to. Gary Albright, shaved Bigfoot. Gary Albright. Yeah. That's the only like acceptable way to wear a singlet. If you come in wearing a singlet and you're not like big burly farm strong or ungodly shredded, you just you're going to be a jobber for the rest of your life. What are you even doing?
Right. I'm surprised Dan Severn was able to get out of the shadow of the jobber singlet because he did job the Takada. Which was
he fixed that by changing to the T-shirt. Once he started wearing the T-shirt instead of the singlet, then he's allowed to win again.
You know what's funny? You bring that up, and I still have it, but I used to be really into Fire Pro Wrestling. They had a version for the Sega Saturn called Six Man Scramble, and I went through at the time. I was a big WWE mark during the Attitude Era, and I remember I made like a Dan Severn in the. A version of Dan Severn with the cut-off sleeved, dingy white shirt. I especially made it like not white. I made it like a dingy sort of whitish gray.
Yeah, just that little bit of gray.
And I made it with his the Severn trunks, and I was so proud of that because it looked so much like Severn when he would walk out to the WWE. Granted, at this time. Like, Severn was long gone from the WWE, but I just remember seeing him like that once or twice. I'm like, oh, man, he's so badass. Speaking of, we haven't talked about this fight at all.
Yeah, there is a fight going on. It's not really much that's been happening. Steve threw out a spinning back fist, which I suppose is cool. He's wearing black velvet shorts here, which say UWS World Champion.
Yeah.
And he's hitting a nice wrestling switch there. So there you go. We talked about it when some action actually happened.
Yeah. I've heard of the USWF, and I know they held like maybe a couple events, but I've never seen them, and I don't know if they exist in a format that can be downloaded.
Not that I'm aware of either. So we're in Jutaro Nakau's guard here, and what is he, a fucking Gracie throwing heel kicks to the kidneys?
Who does he think he is, a Gracie? Doesn't he know the Gracies are the Columbuses of the upside-down heel kicks?
Exactly. Nakao, he at this point was 3-2 in his career, and he had a loss. One of his losses was to the pain-proof Pancras alumni, Alex Cook.
Oh, Alex, what?
So Alex Cook, he fought in Pancras, and he's got 2 wins. One of his wins is he was being put in a heel hook by one of the other fellas. He felt his knee pop, and he thought, well, fuck, it's already gone now. And so he stayed in the match until he finished the other guy off, which is pretty cool.
Oh, okay. I think I've heard you tell that story before. Maybe it was on another video we were doing. Gotta love this between round music, which was very brief as we get our condensed in between round there.
Yeah, they really shortened that one because the rounds are supposed to be 8 minutes, whereas that was like 2 or 3 maybe.
Yeah. And I haven't pointed...
Nakao?
No, I was going to say, I haven't pointed it out yet, but I love our Vietnam correspondent photographer over here. He's got on like the flak vest here and a little headband. It's fantastic.
Little did we know, they pulled him out of the jungles of Burma, like taking photographs of the genocide, brought him straight in. He's gotten right off the plane there. He's like, I've got these photos. They're going to go to Time magazine. They're going to show what's going on. They go, no. Come on, mate. You gotta come watch.
I just remembered where who he reminds me of. He reminds me of Dennis Hopper from Apocalypse Now. You ever seen it?
Ah, there you go. I haven't actually watched all of Apocalypse Now. I've only ever seen the helicopter raid.
Yeah, so Dennis Hopper appears near the end when Charlie Sheen, no, what's his name? With the Sheen father. When he encounters Marlon Brando at the end, he goes to his compound. Anyway, that's who he reminds me of. Dennis Hopper in that movie, he's like the photographer for Marlon Brando's sort of compound. And he looks exactly like that.
I see. Oh, fair enough. I'll have to go watch that eventually.
You should. You should not let your life pass without having at least seen that movie.
Nice inside trip there from Steve Nelson. So he could wrestle. Apparently he was an American Sambo champion, according to our friends over at We Are Rising Podcast.
Whoa. American. I didn't even think that's possible. An American Sambo champion.
Well, so that's what Dan Severn was as well. That was part of his sort of reputation, because he won the the American Sambo Championship several times.
So is this like judo? Remember Chael Sonnen told that story about how all the American wrestlers went into judo and just dominated it,
because that's it's like it's not like Russia where everybody nice triangle from Jujutsu Nakao here. He's doing well. But yeah, it's not like Russia. It's where everybody just grapples and then they just pick whatever you're best at. Whereas in America, you're all divided off. But, nicely done there. You got the tap from Steve Nelson. Well done, Jutro Nakao. But yeah, in America, you're all sort of segregated into your own things. But if you think about it, where's the best competition? What's the best people going to be doing? They're going to wrestle, because that's the American thing. Right. So that's where your best grapplers are going to be. And grappling's just grappling, even with the different rules. As long as you can, pay attention to not overtly cheat, you can win at any grappling you enter. One of my, not my most recent one, back when I was working at the fucking egg factory, I decided to enter a judo comp on the weekend. My coach gave me an orange belt because that was what I had to be to enter. I had done 0 judo before that, and I got bronze, and the only people who beat me were black belts. So,
wow.
Grappling's fucking grappling.
It's the Brazilian Steve-O.
Yeah. Massacre.
Did he not look like Steve-O? Doesn't he look like Steve-O?
He does, yes.
So wait, hold on. Go back. You worked at an egg factory? How many eggs came out of this factory?
Okay, so the eggs would come in from the farm, and then in a week we'd put out 2.4 million eggs.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, fuck. There's not a job I ever intend to do again. A bit of a brawl here to start between Marcelo Aguar and Hayato Mas Sakurai. Eagle-eyed viewers who pay attention to Pride ahead of the actual Pride Resurrection series will know Mas Sakurai. He did fairly well in the Bushido label, and he was on the final Pride event, Pride 33. He had that knockout over Olaf Alonso that's very famous, where he cross-counters him and then Alonso just face plants afterwards.
So when you were working at the egg factory, did you get all the egg shakes you wanted?
No, because they were really tight. You could walk out with 2 boxes of 2 dozen eggs a week, and so I was just handing those out to friends of mine. But I ate a fuckload of omelets. I'll not lie. Sakurai going for leg locks here. Nice trip, trying to dig for that heel hook, but good defense from Marcelo Aguar. He's Sakurai kicked himself free of the leg entanglement there.
And this isn't an assumption that he's luta livre and not BJJ.
Not jiu-jitsu. Well, the fact that he's actually throwing punches and kicks while standing up and not looking like absolute shit while he's doing it at this period, that tells me that he's...
He also has a giant head, like the Pedro or Francis Braga. He has a giant fucking head.
Big old Easter Island noggin.
Yes.
That seems to be kind of a Brazilian thing. There's quite a few Brazilians with big old heads. Mind you, there's no head as big as fucking Tito Ortiz.
Right, yeah. He's
biggest head in all of MMA.
Right, biggest head, but probably smallest brain, you know?
Just rattles around in there like a peanut in a fucking paint tin.
Just absorbing like concussions, you know, and it gets bruised and...
Well, that explains why he can't like talk.
Right, even when he has time to think and like type it out, the words just come out stupid.
Just in the weirdest order.
Right.
Nice kicks and stand up here from Marcelo Aguar. It's some sort of Brazilian style Muay Thai, hooks to the head and hard kicks. Whereas nice takedown as well from Ma Sakurai. Ma did judo at school. At this point, he was 4-0. He'd beaten Kaol Uno, so that's a pretty big win. And Marcelo Aguar, at this point, he was 2-0, but I can't tell you who against. Good punches, good strikes from Maha Sakurai.
Oh, good takedown there.
Maha Sakurai showing that he's a badass on the ground by just going for submissions from fucking dumb positions and giving up passes and stand-up opportunities.
I'd say his style reminds me a lot of another young Japanese fighter at this time, which would have been Kid Yamamoto.
Yeah, a little bit. Not so much wrestling based, and he can actually, defend submissions, unlike Kid, who was kind of rough at those. He also didn't have quite so heavy hands. What Ma Sakurai did have, though, was you can look at him when we get zoomed out. His legs are about as thick as his torso, so he had hard fucking low kicks.
Good shoot.
Yeah, it was a really nice entry there, and he turned the corner just a little bit too, killed the sprawl off completely.
Hold on, I'm all freaked out here. Let me make sure. Okay, I just had to make sure that OBS was recording. I'm like all sensitive about it now.
That's all right. I've done that before. I've gone through a whole event, and then I've gone back and I've looked, and just not had the recording.
I just noticed on the turnbuckle there it said Proteina Gain. Or maybe it said protein gain, but I thought it said Proteina Gain.
Who knows? Maybe it's it's whatever they've been feeding Enson for the past little while.
Right.
Because the moment Enson got to Japan, you can see like his first appearance is in this. It's when he's about to enter Shuto, and he's working out with Tiger Mask, and he's so skinny. It's little baby Enson. He's like 81, 82 kilograms, which is. Maybe 185 pounds. And then, just immediately afterwards, he just starts getting very big very quickly. So Ma Sakurai showing his wild man instincts there, going for a diving stomp and then giving up his back.
See, right there, oh, God, it's gone. As soon as I go to point it out, it's gone, but it was right there.
It's okay.
But it's spelled...
Yes.
Gain.
Proteina Gain, I think.
Yeah, Gaine. So.
Maybe they're spelling phonetically rather than. Actually.
Right, or maybe I was gonna think, is that the royal way to spell gain? Like the British way.
Could be. We are making gains. Marcelo Aguar, he's throwing punches from the back here, but he looks kind of lost in terms of ground and pounding. I think they've actually talked to everybody at the back about elbows to the head on the ground being banned because that just wasn't enforced at previous events.
Yeah, but maybe
nice,
that...
hula hoop. Oh, after you.
Maybe that has to do with Tiger Mask no longer being involved. But I don't...
Maybe.
But what I don't understand about that is how long had Shuto been going on before this? Like a decade. You'd think that he would just bring in Shuto refs to... know what the hell they're doing. So why were the refs so shit in the past?
So I think the shooter refs weren't used to people cheating, to be honest. Like, the only fight I can think of that people actually cheated in Shuto was Eric Paulson taking on Ben Spikers. And that was a fucking carnival of fucking errors.
Okay.
But in terms of, like, actually, like, Dutchmen, they just weren't ready for the fucking Dutchmen.
Right. Were the rules of Shuto a lot different than Vale Tudo Japan here?
They were just a bit tighter, so I don't think elbows were allowed at all. Like, no strikes to the back of the head, I think, and they still got the 8 and 10 counts in Shudo from getting dropped, so I think it's fairly similar. It's just they just weren't used to enforcing them, and they didn't really have any way of enforcing them at the Vale Tudo events because there weren't judges' decisions at that point.
Right. Did they?
It was just either you'd win or you'd lose. So, like, what's the point of... I don't think there were disqualifications either. Nice mount there from Sakurai. It's a good entrance there. And he's going to go for an armbar from the back here. It's pretty low percentage. Nice, good work from Marcelo Aguar getting belly up, getting his legs around, taking some of the stink off this. And nice pass with it, too.
I was almost expecting him to go for a rope break there. When they're in the ropes, I was expecting, rope break.
I think that was one thing that Tiger Mask was like adamant of not having in Shudo. He didn't want it to be seen as pro wrestling, so there were no rope breaks.
Did they have kicks to a downed opponent to the head, like soccer kicks or stomps?
I don't think so, no. I think if you were off your feet, you were sort of fairly kick-proof.
So do they have that rule here? Because it is Vale Tudo. When you think of Vale Tudo, you think of... I think of kicks.
All three,
yeah.
Soccer kicks. I think they were free because Sakurai did try and do a flying stomp there.
Excuse me. I don't have the COVID.
I swear to God, you're not all going to catch it through the. Oh dear. How is the end of the world treating you over there?
It's not too bad. We got kind of a jack-off governor over here in Illinois. But I mean, I guess our area, it's far enough away from Chicago. Life is kind of pretty much normal. I guess there was a hubbub the other day. There was a Hobby Lobby. There's a Hobby Lobby in town, and I guess they opened up to defy the orders of the governor for
for some fucking reason.
Yeah, if you're a non-essential business, you can't open. So Hobby Lobby is deemed non-essential. But I think they opened up, and somebody from like 60 miles away complained, and the cops went there to shut them down. I don't know. It's fucking ridiculous.
Well, we're doing all right out here, out in the fucking bush, because we're far enough away from anybody. There is nobody in like our healthcare region currently who has the disease, which is good.
Oh, that's
mind
good.
you, not too far away from us, not too far in terms of like Australian distances. Mm-hmm. So that depends. It's probably like, just think of a Texan saying not too far away. So like 4 or 5 hours drive. There's a fucking old folks home that is just getting wrecked by it. It is not good.
That is the case all around the world. I think in America, 50% of the deaths from COVID are coming from nursing homes. So that tells me send out healthy people, keep the old people locked up. Why did they stop kids from going to school? It doesn't make any fucking sense. Anyway.
Because kids are fucking disgusting.
Hold on. I'll be right back. Hold on. You keep going. I'll be back.
I will. So I was about to say that we're seeing some nice punches from the top here and a nice mount from Sakurai. He's doing well, and then he just gives up the mount by just diving on an armbar. So that sort of thing would plague Sakurai throughout his entire career. He's very finish happy. If he sees just any opportunity to get the fight over, which is cool, he'll just go for it, but he'll go for it without anything secure. And he just decides that that's what he's going to do. And that is the end of our round there. So we've got one more, I believe. Marcelo Aguar has I don't think he actually has a gigantic head. I just think he's just got a gigantic forehead. Like, his chin is tiny, and then just the moment it gets above his ears to his eyebrows, he looks like a damn Cro-Magnon, like a Neanderthal. Phrenology. That's what you get when you tune into the Pride Resurrection channel. So we're standing here. Both of our guys a little bit tentative because they're both able to take each other down. So they don't want to overcommit to strikes to start the round. Just as I say that, Marcelo Aguar decides to go for some spinning shit and gets taken down. So there you go. If you're worried about your opponent taking you down, don't throw a spinning back kick. Don't throw it a glacially slow spinning back kick. So we'll see the guard passing acumen and the guard acumen of Marcelo Aguar and Mark Sakurai. Don't remember Mark being too bad at passing, but then again, I don't remember Mark passing too much anyway. I need to watch more of his fights because he is very entertaining, especially in Shuto. He's out here throwing fucking rolling thunders, diving on arm bars from nowhere, doing cartwheel guard passes.
All right, I'm back.
Cool. Well, it's about time that we mention the elephant in the room, which is Maha Sakurai has a sex tape on the internet.
So, how long ago did that come out?
When he was still famous, I believe. So I think he was fighting in Pride at the time. So how I discovered this was one day I was innocently searching on Tumblr and I thought, this Ma Sakurai guy is pretty cool because I'd found Pride Bushido 9 on the internet and I downloaded that and watched it. I thought, this guy's cool. I'll see if I can find some GIFs of him doing stuff. So into Tumblr I search Hayato Sakurai. And being Tumblr at the time, pre-porn ban Tumblr, the first thing that pops up is Hayato Sakurai's sex tape.
This must have been during the era when sex tapes were all the rage for every Tom, Dick, and Jane. Because...
well, I think he got kind of... I don't think he deliberately chose for that one to come out. I think he just... he picked a woman... He got picked up by a woman at the bar and then went to a hotel room. Because it's all from one angle and he doesn't pay any attention to it. And he's too busy going to town.
For some reason, I'm thinking of Hulk Hogan's sex tape, which is atrocious, disturbing, and just sad. But it's pretty much a camcorder was put on a little bedside table, just pointed towards the bed from the bottom, looking forward, kind of on an angle, and Hulk Hogan just barrels on top of a woman, doesn't even take his black shirt off. It's straight missionary. It's horrible. It is awful.
If you're gonna get a sex tape, and if you're doing it deliberately for the purposes of internet fame, at least do a good job.
Right? Yeah. I mean, put some spice into it.
Exactly.
So we have
some mild bondage or something.
We have who I would call the Amsterdam Michael Bisping.
Jan Mulder taking on Kenji Kawaguchi. This is a rematch. These two fought at Vale Tudo Japan 1994, and that fight was a fucking mess. Excuse me, just burping like a son of a bitch over here. Yeah. Jan Mulder did the Dutchman thing and just cheated like a motherfucker the entire time. Punching Kawaguchi in the back of the head, soccer kicking him. They rolled out of the ring 3 or 4 times. That was kind of deliberate from Jan Mulder. Every time Kawaguchi would take him down, he'd just dive out of the ring.
This motherfucker has a Mo haircut from the Three Stooges.
I believe that is Thomas, the most dangerous boy alive today, crawling around in your room.
Yeah, he was here. Whoa, did you see that effect?
Yeah, zoom. Obviously, this fight is not interesting enough. Even our Vietnam correspondent photographer is looking kind of bored.
But you know what? That's Jan Mulder. He kind of looks like he could be Curly with his disgusting fucking head wrinkles. He's fighting Mo, the Japanese Mo.
Well, which of the Three Stooges was the eye-poking one?
That was Mo.
That was Mo. So it's in reverse.
Well, no, actually, they all eye-poked each other. That was kind of their shtick. They would just poke But Mo was like the leader, I guess, the bully, and he would beat up on Larry and Curly. I can't believe you don't know your Three Stooges. Come on. I guess maybe it's an American thing, but even
just the cultural effect down here that it is over there.
Yeah,
but that's like me saying no, rat is the fucking rat.
Oh, okay. So. I would say in this day and age, the Three Stooges are being forgotten to the sands of time. The kids these days probably don't know what the fuck the Three Stooges are.
Kenji Kawaguchi here thinking armbar on Jan Mulder, and he's got that pretty straight. And he's doing a good job there. His legs weren't pinched together, so that's why he missed that one. Nice escape from Jan Mulder. He did the Homer Simpson escape, but seems to have no idea what he's doing in terms of wrestling, because he's trying to throw like punches from the body lock, which just don't fucking work.
Guy totally looks like Michael Bisping when Michael Bisping would shave his head. Except for the gross wrinkles on his head, which Michael Bisping don't have.
Well, Jan Mulder's brain is obviously too big to fit inside his own skull, and so has to expand outside.
Right. Or his skull has just been thickened through some process of, I don't know what you would call it. Like evolution?
Conditioning.
Yeah.
Oh dear. He's been body lock takedown here from Kenji Kawaguchi. Passes straight into mount, and Jan Mulder holding on for dear life on the bottom, like the filthy Dutchman that he is.
Whoa! How do I get that after? Yep. How do I get that in After Effects? I want that fucking effect.
Dear. You're asking the wrong guy. I still have yet to graduate from Windows Movie Maker, probably. Oh dear. So obviously there's been a lot of work from mount from Kenji Kawaguchi, which is smart. Like if you're facing a superior kickboxer, a guy that like scrambled a bunch and beat the shit out of you last time, why wouldn't you just sit in mount and just punch him a bunch?
Yeah. So, but I wonder how long it was. Was it probably like 3 minutes had passed him and mount that they decided to like cut to the?
Perhaps. Let's have a look at these two guys. Kenji at this point was actually 11-3-3 at this point in his career. He was very experienced. He had a win over early career Pancrase star Manabu Yamada before Manabu jumped ship. And then Jan Mulder at this point was 1-1.
I want to rewind it. I'm not going to do this much. It's the first time I'm doing it, but this ref is from. He was notoriously bad in the previous Vale Tudo Japan. I think he was also in U Japan Super Fight. He's just awful.
Maybe
he's really serious here. Like watch when he gets in here and he makes sure he keeps an arm between these guys. Even after they're walking away, he's like.
Well, I guess maybe he learned his fucking lesson from the last time. Like he's like getting all the way in there. Like yeah.
He's like.
I think he must have learned his lesson from last time because right. Well, the last several times, just all the cheating shit that went down at Vale Tudo Japan.
He's like private
at this point.
Private security for the Queen, you know, keeping people out of the way. Like, you know.
All right, third round here. Jabs from Kawaguchi straight into a clinch, body lock takedown again. That's like wrestling 101 there.
I don't mean to mention the Queen. You Australians, you have like bad beef with the Queen?
No, she's still Look, you find any old woman in Australia and you mention the Queen, they go, "Oh, the Queen, we love her." Oh, okay. My mum in particular loves the Queen. Every time she's on television, she's like, "Oh, the Queen's on." Oh,
I didn't know how like Australians viewed royalty. You know, the royal family.
We're still a colony, essentially. We're part of the Commonwealth. The Queen is ostensibly our head of state. So our equivalent of like the president, well, the president's role is like cut into two. There's the prime minister, and then there's the governor general. The governor general is the Queen's representative in Australia. So anything that he says goes, basically.
Since he's a general, does he get like guns?
No, he doesn't.
Oh, God, okay.
Nice choke here from Kenji Kawaguchi. He's well done, Kenji Kawaguchi, and he is extremely pumped because that loss to Jan Mulder last time was a fucking mess.
You think it's like Rocky just beat Apollo Creed?
Well, for Kenji, I think it is. Well, I think maybe it's like I think it's sort of Apollo beating Rock. If Apollo won Rocky 2. That's what.
Oh.
That's how Kenji feels. He's pretty pumped. But no, so there is a movement in Australia to become a republic and no longer have the Queen as our ostensible head of state. But it honestly doesn't matter. There's zero effect. It's just sort of whether or not we look like a shitty little England.
Sure, that would be like Puerto Rico wanting to not be a territory of America. I'm sure, or there was talks of making Puerto Rico another state, making it the 52nd.
Yeah,
the 52nd state. Is there 51 states? Jesus.
I swear there.
I think there is.
Well, whatever. When did Puerto Rico become part of America again?
I don't know. After Columbus discovered.
It was. I think it's genuinely a bit too soon for countries to start becoming part of a bit too recent for a country to become part of another country.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was probably back in the early 1900s or maybe during World War II. I don't know. I don't even know. There's the Virgin Islands. There's 2 U.S. Virgin Islands. There's St. Thomas and St. Croix.
Yeah.
I've been to St. Croix. It was a great little island, but it was imagine if you had an island run exclusively by Rastafarians that were high all day. It was hilarious. There was
sounds like paradise. Let's fucking go.
There was a shitty fucking casino there. And the dealer, I was playing blackjack, and it was so low rent, they just didn't have any sort of state of the art casino stuff. The guy would manually shuffle a single deck of cards, for blackjack. But I remember he was dealing, and I had a 20. The guy next to me had a 19, and the dealer was looking like he was gonna bust. He fucking put down a 21. And then he said, "Shit." It was hilarious. When he busted us, at least he felt bad about it.
Yeah, like on a 20 and a 19. When you do that, you're the odds are low, but they're gonna not trust me anymore.
But I'll never forget his reaction. It was he was like, "Shit."
What a guy.
Yeah.
Here we have Jutaro Nakao. No, we don't. We've got Joao Roque taking on Uchi Tatsumi. Joao Roque at this point was 1-0, and Uchi Tatsumi was 7-0 in Shuto. Excuse me.
Yeah, St. Croix was a great place. It was there's no resorts like St. Thomas, and me and my wife, that was our honeymoon. We rented a car. We stayed at a Airbnb. It was really nice. We drove around everywhere. This island's small enough you could drive to one side or the other within half a day. Not even that. But there's so much to see there. The beaches were pretty good. There wasn't a ton of them. But yeah, it was nice. It was real fun.
Well, maybe I'll go when international travel is allowed again.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. Okay, so guess what?
What?
So, long-time viewers of the show may know that I got screwed out of going to Russia by the consulate.
Uh-huh.
This year, I got screwed out of going to Greece by coronavirus.
Oh, fuck. So, wait, so the story, the Russian consulate or the Australian consulate screwed you?
The Russian consulate.
Oh,
so I qualified
bastard.
for the World Championships of Modern Pancration, which it's not really, the qualification in Australia, it isn't very high. It's, not very hard to do, but I'd still done that. And so I was ready to go. I'd paid for my fucking ticket. I was there. I'd put in applications for everything, and it's very simple. They came back and said, this will not happen in time for you to be in the country. I would have had to start applying for my visa a month before I'd actually qualified for the event.
Wow. That sucks.
Yeah, it's pretty fun. And then Greece, which would have been way easier. Getting to Greece is no problem because they're a capitalist pig dog country, unlike Russia. Yeah, that was going to start getting sorted. That would have been around now, actually. But no, the travel ban and everything had already come into effect by the time we were going to start looking at it.
If you included, if you had included maybe $300 to $500 with your application, you probably could have got it pushed through.
No. So anywhere there was like a form... The problem was we had our qualifications at that point because the Russians had said, this is when we're all having our qualifications. It'd be good to have our qualifications all together then. And the thing is, all the like former Eastern Bloc countries like Ukraine and all of that sort of shit, you can get into Russia with less of a big deal. Whereas all of us Western capitalist pig dog countries, the application for a visa, it's a different kind of visa. It's like a cultural exchange visa or something. And we need a letter signed from the Russian consulate and the Russian, like a representative for the Russian Ministry of Sport that we are actually going over there. And you can't get over there on a tourist visa because the Australian Sambo team tried that once and they got deported like straight away.
So my son is coming and I was listening, but he's trying to get me to fix his Switch so he could play a game. So I don't have any reaction other than they did not have a checkbox on the application for I am including my bribe now. You know? Exactly.
Unfortunate. I didn't put aside a bunch of rubles for them. So we've had our round there between Joao Roque and Uchi Tatsumi. Nothing particularly interesting happened that I was paying attention to.
This Japanese guy looks like he crawled out of an Egyptian
test tube?
Yeah, or a tomb, like an Egyptian tomb, a sarcophagus. He came out of the sarcophagus and drank a potion to give him get his like skin on his bones, you know, like a magical process. He looks fucking awful. He looks he's got a shelf like underneath his chest that goes into his abdomen. I don't know. He looks weird.
Yeah, it's just got a oddly shaped a pigeon chest, I believe, is the term. That's just when your rib cage is shaped a different way. It's kind of it's not quite the Scott Steiner pectoral thing. That's a different thing, but it looks kind of similar.
Okay.
Joao Roque here with a nice takedown, working his side control stuff. I don't really know much about either of these guys, to be honest. I know Uchi.
I paused it. Do you see that woman there?
I do see that woman.
What the fuck was that? Talk about out of place. Is that Sarah Levy or what's her name?
Becky Levi.
Becky Levi, yeah. That's very
Becky Levi was huge, remember?
Yeah, she was huge, but I think she had dark hair, not blonde hair. I could be wrong. I don't.
She did. Ah, dear. She's an interesting character back in the day. I'll tell you who else is an interesting character from back in the day.
Okay.
Daniel Seven's old manager, Phyllis Lee. What were we looking at her again?
No. I just noticed that the video is really hot, like it's a really bad interlace. But no, this. Hold on. Before you can hold that thought. Hold on to that thought for a second.
I'm holding.
Okay. There is something really exciting that we're gonna see in a second here. This fucking guy, this Japanese. With this fucking guy, I want to meet this guy, and I want a poster of this guy's just looking just like this on my wall.
Look at
his glasses.
My God, what
amazing! He's like Super Mario.
What a fucking champion! Like that haircut, those glasses, that shirt, and that mustache all put together. What a fucking brave human being!
He's a photographer. He's got a camera in his hands, and yeah, that sweater. Like, who goes to work as a photographer in that sweater? That's so awesome. Anyway, continue.
Oh dear. So Dan Seven's old manager, Phyllis Lee. You'll see her everywhere. If every time you see like an American over in Japan and there's this crazy old lady in the ring or like next to the ring with them, that's Phyllis Lee. She's a character because she was good for getting you fights in Japan, but she wasn't good for getting you wins in Japan, if that makes any sense.
So, so she was cheap and she wouldn't pay off the...
No. So she you go over there and you get paid decently, but the matchmaking was not good for you.
Oh, okay.
Unless your name was Dan Seven or fucking Don Fry.
Right.
Like, those were her two guys, as far as I could figure. Joao Roque working a cradle here and knees to the body from side control, which is, fairly interesting. But here we see the quirks of DVD editing, because what we needed to see was 3 minutes of Joao Roque working his side control. What we didn't need to see was whatever happened with Kenji Kawaguchi or whatever happened with Sakurai and Marcelo Aguiar for those cut-down minutes.
I gotta help my son get this Lego game for the Switch working. He's gonna keep coming in until this game is not made for children. Like like, and I don't mean that like it's a violent game. I mean like it's complicated. Trying to get this freaking game to just play the game.
Hello, Thomas, the most dangerous boy alive today. It is always a pleasure to have you on the show. Was Joao Roque working some cool shit here? He's working some cool shit here. Like, I like seeing cradles from jiu-jitsu guys. And, oh, God. He's just Joao like, Roque's tongue.
He's just like,
does he only have... What's going on with his teeth? His four front teeth are in... Okay, pause. His four front teeth, they're like in a straight line. And then there's a gap either side. Yeah. That's extremely weird.
And he's just like sticking his tongue out like as he's like a dog. He's like panting. He's like, ugh.
Maybe he can't sweat. You know, there are people who can't.
But he's just
Here we are making fun. Look at his teeth, man. Oh, dear. Mind you, it's pretty cool seeing a cradle in martial arts. I like seeing it. If Joao Roque was a cool guy and knew things, what he could do would be to hook. You just can't get over his tongue, can you?
No. He's like looking at his corner, and his corner is like they're talking to him, and he's like looking straight at him, and he's like he doesn't seem to be doing what they're advising him to do unless they're telling him just hold the guy here and do nothing.
Well, if they're Brazilians, it's quite possible that's what they are telling you.
Oh, he's trying to beat him with his own knee. You see that?
That's pretty cool. But if Joao Roque was a cool guy, what he could do was lock up the cradle and then hook the loose leg of Uchi Tatsumi with his own leg. And he could banana split a guy like while in the cradle, which is an excellent thing to do. I actually injured one of my training partners doing that, which is unfortunate.
So I think this
is we can see him
the maneuver that his corner told him to do. Use the guy's own knee against his head. That can't be illegal, right? So they're telling him, hey, use the knee. He's like, okay, right there. Jesus. That's not illegal, I guess.
Yeah.
Just beat the guy.
Maybe you've discovered a loophole in the fucking unified rules. Knees to a grounded opponent.
Yes. If you force the guy's own knee into his face, I guess there's no rule saying you can't.
Well, there you go. Fuck it, you know. I'm
like
actually,
it's like as long as you have to say "quit hitting yourself" as you do it. You know?
Yeah, at the same time, it's totally allowed. Oh dear. Tell you what, I'll give that a go. Next time I'm in the damn ring, that's what I'll do. Oh my god,
you'll be a legend if you do that. Yeah, you want to do the cradle so much. There you go. You get the guy in the cradle.
Exactly. Just do the cradle and then make the guy knee himself in the face. But yeah, here was the head kicks to the grounded opponent. So apparently they are illegal. Joao Roque, I reckon, probably lucha libre guy too, based on the fact that he can actually strike and isn't just pulling guard and being boring as shit. Mind you, he should be called up for the referee by whatever the fuck he's doing with his tongue. Yeah.
That was a pretty good takedown.
Nice double leg for Joao Roque. That's a very good takedown. Time there. Heard the bell ring.
What a fight.
We still got a round to go.
Oh, fuck me. Yeah, that's how I feel right now. I want to lay my head down.
Uchi Tatsumi just having a nap against the fucking ring ropes. Joao Roque looking extremely relaxed. If our audience are wondering why I'm saying Joao, it's because his name is spelled Joao. So rather than Joe, it must of course be Joao.
He kind of looks like, who is that lightweight or that featherweight or atom weight, whatever, who kept losing to Demetrius Johnson? in early days.
Ray Borg?
No,
Not Ray Borg.
In the early
Chris
days.
Carrasco. Chris Carrasco, I think.
No, he was another black. Never mind.
I genuinely think he looks like Chris Carrasco. Maybe John Moraga?
No, now I'm gonna have to fucking pause it, and I'm gonna have to pull it
No,
up.
no, just look him up. Oh, dear. I think it's John Moraga that you're thinking of. It's either John Moraga or Chris Carrasco.
No, let's go to the. It's gonna be
You're definitely not thinking of Wilson Hayes. Like, it can't be Wilson Hayes.
No, John Dodson. That's who I'm thinking of. John Dodson. And
really?
Let's see. Hold on. Don't doubt.
John Dodson looks like fucking John Dodson currently.
What the fuck is this? Can't be real. Okay, this is what I was thinking he looks like. Hold on. Let's go back here. We're okay. I'm maybe reminiscent. He's okay. Let's press play.
Okay, pause.
Maybe not. Right there.
Yeah, I think you're talking shit.
But what is up with this picture of John Dodson with this fucking haircut? Is
this the one where he looks like the lead singer from fucking Earth, Wind and Fire?
Yeah. Okay. So Alistair can't see this part of my screen. He can only see the video. But yes, the what I am showing on screen here, how is that possible? This hairstyle.
Is that where he's got like the front half of his head like it's bald and then the back's like an afro?
Yeah. How is that?
Yeah, he straight up looks. Okay, look up September by Earth, Wind and Fire. He looks like the fucking lead singer from September.
It's almost like a Japanese samurai style.
With like the middle shaved out and the man bun on the back of it. Yeah, I honestly don't know what he was fucking thinking. Mind you, what was Heath Herring thinking every time he cut his own hair? So, good single leg from Joao Roque there, getting the takedown once again on Uchi Tatsumi. And climbing up to side control, working the shoulder in the face to keep Uchi stuck.
You would think that a Lego video game for a Nintendo Switch or any of the systems, it'd be for like a child, right? That, a kid could pick it up and play it. Those games are so fucking complicated. Oh my God.
There's a lot going on.
But I tell you what, my son he's 3.5 now, but I would say go back 4 months. At 3 years old, he's really, really good at Mario Odyssey. I mean, really good. He can play like the whole game. It's quite fantastic.
So, the thing about Mario is Shigeru Miyamoto, I believe that's the director of Mario.
Yeah.
When he put together Mario 64, he said, "You are building no levels. It is a white box. You must make Mario running around this white box fun and easy." Mm-hmm. And so that's all they did for the first 5 or 6 months of development for Mario 64 was all they did was make moving Mario around fun and extremely easy so that anybody who picked up the game could just enjoy making him run around. And that was it. And that's the same thing that they've applied all the way through the Mario series, I believe. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, it must be true. I'm proud of my son. He's 3 years old. He's playing a game that, when I was 3 years old, I had trouble playing Mario 2D, the first Mario. Whoa, what has he got on that fucking camera there? This guy's serious.
The fucking lens is zooming into Joao Roque's butthole.
He must be. That's like a telescoping lens there.
Zooming in, looking at the earwax just gathered in the hole of Joao Roque. Oh, dear.
He's a goofy looking fellow.
I'm a great fan of ringside photographers. I believe they should be at every single event because they're always carrying.
Yeah, the ringside photographers at this event are the all-stars. They're the guy with the mustache. He's over there in that awesome sweater or running jacket, whatever he's got on. He's back there.
Rogue still working from side control. I'm glad that whoever edited this DVD together decided that we needed to know every single second of this fight between these two fucking nobodies.
Yeah. They must have fell asleep or they went out for like a donut like at this point, and there's no one there like to fuck with this fight.
Yeah, obviously they wasted all they blew through their entire editing budget on Kenji Kawaguchi versus Jan Mulder with those two transitions.
Yeah, that those must have been like that really put them back. They're like, okay, we can't touch the video for the rest of the the event because we blew our wad on those two fucking effects right there.
Actually, that's something to think of. Back in the day, before there was digital video fucking editing, how do they do that sort of shit?
There was like I want to call it like a software, but it was like a box. It was like a computer sort of box, but you would feed the video in through like a cable, and it would output to a monitor, and you could do like different effects like from like a keyboard like interface sort of thing. I'm thinking
even older, so maybe like back in the Star Wars days, back when like your only option was like double exposure and blue screen and that sort of shit. How did fucking George Lucas put together all those fucking ridiculous wipes?
Yeah, I think they still had like some sort of analog editing interface. Like I don't know how you would call it.
No, where you're literally just cutting film with a pair of fucking scissors and then sticking it together.
Yeah, they obviously did a lot of that,
Nice regard from Uchi Tatsumi, but it's actually put him in a worse position. He's taking more damage from guard than he was from side control.
I think when they did like the text crawl for like Star Wars, they just had a guy with like a fucking lever, and they just had they had a transparent piece of plastic like on a paper roll. It was like a toilet paper roll. They just had it written down, and they just had a guy turning it ever so slowly. I imagine that's how they did that.
All right, so. Window into my childhood. My brother, he and a group of his friends back when they were in like elementary school, they put together a little Star Wars fan film. So the way they did the text crawl was they went into Microsoft Word, they typed it all out in fucking big yellow font, and then put it on like a black piece of paper, and then rolled it past the camera.
Yeah, that's probably how they did it, like George Lucas.
No, dear.
That's
the end of it. Joao Rokanuchi Tatsumi. Tatsumi looks unhappy, but it's a draw. I don't know what he's complaining about.
Yeah, he's like squealing like a girl. Oh,
like a little bitch. Oh well, he's allowed.
Is that
At this point, he was undefeated, so it's
guy?
it's a big deal to him.
Is this that Steve Nelson we just seen earlier?
He tells back a little bit.
He tells him good fight, and he's the. Tatsumi, you said his name was?
Yes.
He's like, no, not a good fight. He's not happy.
I have no idea who that is. I can't see. I don't know Steve Nelson's head well enough to tell you either way.
I'll pause it. Oh. I thought it was Randy Couture for a second there. I went back too far. Hold on, I'll get there.
Really? It's coming.
There. I thought it was Randy Couture. Or no, I thought it was Mark Coleman.
I genuinely don't know.
I thought it was Mark Coleman for a second there.
Definitely not big enough to be Mark Coleman. He needs the fucking... Mark Coleman was a veiny human being at this point in his life.
I do like this jacket, though. I like the color. I like the texture on the white part here. It looks like it's got more of like a canvas or like a... I don't know how he's... anyway.
That's one thing we're missing out on these days. Back in the fucking 80s and 90s, cool jackets were everywhere.
Yeah.
Like great tracksuits for martial arts teams and that sort of shit. And it's just not a thing anymore.
No, and they're all just generic. Like, there's nothing special about the jackets now. They used to go all out because that was how you were like a flamingo back in the 80s and shit like that. You either had a fucking Ferrari.
It's Eric Paulson, that's who it is.
You either had a Ferrari or you had a fucking legit jacket. That's how you got women. And he's just got ice water in a fucking plastic
in a sack. Yeah, just putting it straight in his fucking face. Don't do that. You'll give yourself nerve damage. Put it in a fucking bag. Put it in a fucking cloth.
Oh, there's Erik Paulson.
Yeah, so we got Erik Paulson taking on Carlos Newton. Carlos Newton, eventual Pride fighter. And at this point, he was actually 0-1 because he had gassed out against that heavyweight at Extreme Fighting 2. Erik Paulson was 8-3-2. His losses to Matt Hume, getting his hair pulled by James Waring. He beat quite a few guys like big Shudo names, but not names outside of Shudo. And he'd beaten notorious cheating Dutchman Ben Spikers. Now, the Ben Spikers story is fucking interesting. After weigh-ins, one of Spikers' friends got Erik Paulson really, really tanked. Just said, oh, well done, you made weight. Come out and have dinner with us. And then just kept buying him fucking drinks the whole night. So he was hoping that he'd be fucking hungover and wouldn't be able to beat Ben Spikers. And that fight is a fucking mess. It's on YouTube somewhere, so I do recommend going watching that one because it's fucking ridiculous.
You're familiar with King of the Hill, right? The cartoon show?
Yes. Yes, I have.
Does this not look like Hank's dad? The guy with got his shins shot off in the war in Vietnam, the ring announcer. If you could see how small he is. He is tiny.
Why is he so small?
Because he got his shins shot off or cut off in the war.
I suppose he did, yeah. Fuck.
All right, hold on. You continue on. I'll be back in just a minute.
Well, you got to press play for that to happen. Oh, there we go. Alrighty, so we got Carlos Newton taking on Erik Paulson. Both of these guys going on to sort of illustrious careers in one way or another. Carlos Newton would be at one point in his career the number one welterweight in the world. Erik Paulson never would go on to be a very big MMA star, but he would become a significantly prominent coach because he would coach Josh Barnett and also Brock Lesnar. Erik Paulson was also in Bloodsport 3, or is it 4? One of the Bloodsport sequels. So strikes from Erik Paulson, and he gets just dumped on his ass by straight on his ass by Carlos Newton. Carlos Newton always would wear the fucking diaper to the ring, he just wears a it looks like he's wearing a Speedo that has a balloon in it, and Erik Paulson's tried to bridge out of it, left his arm hanging for Carlos to hang onto, and he's not in a good spot. He needs to worm his elbow free, but Carlos Newton's doing a good job of getting control. Oh, and he's got the arm there. He's got that arm straight, and Erik Paulson has tapped. Erik Paulson has actually tapped with his foot on Carlos Newton's head. This was a significant upset at the time because Erik Paulson was one of the big guys in Shudo. I believe he was actually the light heavyweight champion at this point. And then Carlos Newton just comes in and bitches him in 45 seconds with an armbar. And Carlos Newton reportedly never used free weights all throughout his life, but I'll believe that, sure. Next up, we have Ed de Kraft taking on Illinois pigfucker Tom Erikson. Ed de Kraft is a gigantic Dutchman. He was 3-1 with his only loss coming to... he had beaten Dirty Bob Schreiber and he had lost to Enson Inoue in a Shudo event. Illinois pigfucker and shaved Bigfoot Tom Erikson was 5-0-1. He had beat Willie Peters and Kevin Randleman at Martial Arts Reality Super Fight in Brazil. The only time he would have not won in his career at this point was he went to a time limit draw against Murilo Bustamante. And the Big Cat's actually in very good shape at the moment, and he looks great in tights. So he's just dropped Ed de Kraft like a bitch with the first right hand he's thrown, which is ridiculous when you're a fucking Dutch kickboxer, supposedly, that you are getting dropped by a just sloppy right hand from this American wrestler. And, yeah, that's smarter from Tom Erikson. Walks out, just picks Ed de Kraft up. Ed de Kraft, thankfully, is tall, like many Dutchmen, and has been able to stop 2 of those 3 takedowns. But now he's just being thrown to the ground, and now he's just going to get just glomfed and the shit kicked out of him by Tom Erikson. And the referee suicide diving in to get Tom Erikson off Ed de Kraft. Very excited. In shape, Tom Erikson. Like, I don't remember him being in this sort of shape later in his career. He always seemed a bit fatter. Whereas at the moment, he looks really good. Like, he's lean and his shoulders are large. And we've still got the same shitty shooter referee. All right, next up we have Ruben Asato taking on John Lewis. Ruben Asato at this point was 10-0-1 with his only draw in his career coming against Lewis in the last Vale Tudo. John Lewis at this point was 2-1-3. 3 draws from being a garbage pile of shit. No, he had a draw against Ruben Asato in which he basically just did his best to hold on and do nothing. He had a draw against... who was the other one against?
He was the king of Battlecade. Give him his respect. He was the king of Battlecade.
Fucking John Lewis. No, he fucking wasn't. He was garbage. I hate John. Look, I dislike John Lewis.
Oh, okay, there you go. Cotton was the name of Hank Hill's dad. I was trying to remember it. I finally did. Cotton.
There you go. Nice body kicks from Ruben Asato to open this fight. So the reason I dislike John Lewis is he couldn't beat gigantic baby Carlson Gracie Jr. Anytime he threw punches against Carlson Gracie Jr., Carlson Gracie had no idea what to do. He was just getting the shit kicked out of him. And then what John Lewis would do instead of, standing back and striking, he just grabbed a body lock and then held onto the fence. And he did that for like 20 minutes. He was really shit.
He looks like he has all the tools. He's fit. He's
got good striking. His grappling's good, but he just takes 0 risks.
Awesome dragon tattoo on his back. I mean, come on, he's got it all. Why isn't he better?
I don't know, man. It's just his fucking fault because he doesn't take risks. He takes 0 risks at all, and then that's why he doesn't win and he doesn't lose. That's why he's got more draws than he has wins at this point in his career.
He could be like a plug and play modern day mixed martial artist. You just take
pretty much.
You take him from 1997 and just throw him in 2020 or 2019. UFC just on the undercard or like in the first opening bout.
Well, he'd fit in quite well. He's a bald fucking white guy with tattoo.
Right, and yeah, he's boring and fucking doesn't really take risks.
That's what I'm saying. Ruben Asato is setting up a sidekick here, as we can tell from the long stance, and a nice sidekick too it was. That's what I like. Ruben Asato is the complete fucking opposite of John Lewis. He is interesting.
Right, and he's got shooting on his ass. Shooting.
Yeah. Okay, so there is a guy who fought in Shuto at this point. Do you want to know what he called his firstborn son?
What did he call him?
Shuto. I'm not fucking kidding.
Oh, that's sad.
I'll have to find that guy's name. He was on Quintet recently, but his name is just straight up Shuto. What a fucking guy.
I call my firstborn son World Wrestling Entertainment,
Pretty much. It's like it's the meme. Oh, Dad, why is my sister called Roses? Well, your mother loves roses. Oh, thanks, Dad. That's all right, Shuto.
All right.
So we're seeing John Lewis running in circles on the edge of the ring and refusing to throw any strikes, and then just getting hit very occasionally. And then he does throw a strike, and it's a fucking jab, and he gets low kicked back. Ruben Asato is a very fun fighter to watch and a good technician for people who want to be interesting because he's got finishes with fucking every submission in the book on his record. He was a big star for Shudo and he should have been. Nice knee to the head too, and you can see he's like committing to striking. That's why he got taken down by John Lewis. Now the thing is, I want to like John Lewis because I like John Lewis's lineage. John Lewis is the only person that Judo Jean LaBelle gave a black belt to. He just said, this is a grappling black belt. I'm not giving you a judo one. I'm not giving you anything else. This is just you being an all-round fighter. And so Jean LaBelle gave that to John Lewis and nobody else. And I like Jean LaBelle. Jean LaBelle's cool. But John Lewis is uncool. He's a dickhead. I hate it.
That's sad that Jean LaBelle's only black belt given out was to this fucking guy.
Like, he gave out plenty of judo ones, but this was like his only like fighting one that he gave. And Gene LeBell was a legit dude. He was one of the first like MMA fights in America. It was 1970 something against Milo something or other. He was like an ex-heavyweight boxing champion. And Judo LeBell said, well, fuck, I'll take you, dude. And so they had a fight. They both wore judo gis. Milo wore a karate gi that he like smeared in Vaseline. And Milo was supposed to wear boxing gloves. He didn't wear boxing gloves. He wore like MMA fucking gloves.
Yeah.
And it's the fight isn't super interesting. It's just Milo. And the thing is, Judo LeBell was like banned from. He wasn't allowed to kick in the fight, and he wasn't allowed to do a whole bunch of shit. But in the end, he eventually like gets a hold of Milo, manages to throw him, and then he starts choking him. And the problem is the referee's a boxing referee, so he's got no idea what it looks like when somebody gets choked unconscious. So LeBell chokes him unconscious, and then he's like looking at the referee, and then he eventually just lets go and stands up, and Milo's just like out flat there, and he's out for like 20 minutes afterwards. It's really bad. And then everyone who turned up to watch it, they wanted to see LeBell get the shit kicked out of him, and so they threw a bunch of trash into the ring, and so there's fucking Milo unconscious just getting all this trash fucking thrown at him face down in the middle of the ring. It's great. And of course it is far more interesting than talking about any fight that John Lewis has ever been in ever.
Oh, he's got angry face though. You see that face? He's like, oh, I'm gonna punch you. This is hilarious, his face.
Yo, there like, you are. I can see it.
He's like, I'm going to punch you. He's like, he's like really angry. He's like, he looks very, like he's really going to, don't make me punch you.
Oh, dear.
Looks like he's about ready to cry. He did look like he was near, like an emotional wreck. Like he's, the emotions are getting the better of him.
But the thing is, so he didn't like where he was there. He was on top in guard. He was landing strikes, but he just felt, the smallest modicum of danger. So he just disengages and runs away. Back to standing up, where he actually wasn't doing any better than he was lying down. And then the moment he's back standing, he's like, oh, I can get hit here. So he tries to enter a fucking clinch. It's just,
Is this the co-main event?
Yes.
Oh.
Mind you, it makes sense because Ruben Asato was like Shudo's biggest guy at this point, apart from Enson.
And I guess John Lewis was a known quantity. You know, the Battlecade stuff he'd already been in a couple Battlecades, wasn't he? At this point in time.
Yeah, exactly. Like he was Battlecade's lightweight champion, I think, and he had already fought Rumina once before at the last Vale Tudo Japan, which was even more boring than this one. But here he is. Like, you see why Rumina's giving up these takedowns. Rumina could fucking wrestle. He was very good. He has great Greco-Roman wrestling. Like, he hits a bunch of nice belly-to-belly suplexes and that sort of shit all throughout his career. But the reason he's getting taken down by John Lewis is because he's taking risks in his stand-up. He's committing to his strikes and actually trying to hurt him, whereas Lewis is just like, ugh, just poking at him with jabs from as far away as possible.
I like the lighting of this event, but it's a little too dark. Especially here, it's really shadowed. It must be impossible to see in the audience. Like, this side is like, there's no lights over here.
Well, it's all about the Japanese with their wrestling lighting. That was all about bringing out like just the muscles of whoever was in the ring. It was really dramatic lighting. Whereas in America, it's the sporting lighting. It's always been, well, I think it's birthed out of I'm going to say, like, baseball and that sort of shit, where you need to see everything. Like, you need to see a fucking tiny little white ball in the middle of the night in pitch black or in the fucking rain. So the lighting has to be extremely powerful and sort of go everywhere. Whereas in Japan, it was very dramatic. Like, my favorite all-time fucking lighting is the Pride lighting for when they did the decisions. Where it's ever so slightly blue.
Mario battle? Okay, well, I'll be right back. You finish up this fight. I'll be right back.
Oh, I shall. So we've hit the end of the round there. I don't know who John Lewis is talking to, and I think we're skipping round, and for some reason I can't actually see, so I have no idea what's going on. Oh, there we are, thank God. Being in Australia, my internet is 2 tin cans on the end of a string, and so every now and then the video has been dropping out. Thankfully, it came back there. John Lewis ducking in low for a takedown gets just bitched on that takedown by our man Ruben Asato, manages to pull him up and then tries to belly-to-belly suplex John Lewis because he's a fucking badass. And John Lewis pops up at it and is just like, oh, yeah, come on. And then he goes for an extremely long jab from the outside. Look, with the tools that John Lewis has, he's a very long and rangy fighter, so a jab is a good strike to throw. But he's just irritates me. I'm probably far too harsh on John Lewis, and then he throws the right hand, gets caught with a counter, and then grabs onto a clinch because he's like, I've been struck. I suppose I have to do something. And it's all very smart in terms of not winning the fight, but not losing it. It's just, it's low risk and it's boring. Ruben Asato climbing his legs up. Jake Shields. Shields. Actually, more like John Fitch. Nice armbar entry from Ruben Asato there, and he's got that one very nicely done. John Lewis tried to explode up and out of it, but that actually straightened his arm out more and gave the armbar to Sato. And there we are, your winner. Thank fuck for that is Ruben Asato, and some fireworks as well, some pyro.
And that was pretty awesome, but they were really low. I think he showered his back.
With fucking shrapnel.
Yeah, because watch this. They didn't expect him to get lifted up like this.
Yep, there we go. A bunch of little tiny burns on the back of Ruben Asato from now on. Oh, well. What would happen to our two fighters? Sato would spend almost his entire career in Shudo. He's most famous for the 7-second flying armbar against Charles Diaz and would retire after losing to Hideo Tokoro in 2012. John Lewis, what would happen? He would then, after this, he'd get his ass blasted by Kenny Monday at Extreme Fighting 4, and then would get KO'd against Jens Pulver in 2000 and would retire after that. After you.
That's a great nickname, Ass Blaster. Could you? You should be Alistair Ass Blaster Fleming.
I am actually the Iron Box because I always wear my cup during training.
No. Drop that shit and pick up Ass Blaster. Come on.
I'm a fighter, not a porn star.
It's a double entendre. Is that how they say it?
Well, it was originally going to be the Iron Knob, but they decided that was not okay.
Okay.
And here we have our main event, Freeweight Contract. It's Frank Shamrock taking on Enson Inoue.
With his brother.
Frank has Maurice Smith in his corner.
Yeah. And
Enson Inoue looking real fucking stylish there.
Yeah, with his dad jeans. The
acid.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, you were gonna call yourself the Iron Knob, and they wouldn't allow that. That reminds me of I knew a guy. He was gonna open up a bar, and he was gonna call it Dick's Halfway In, and they wouldn't allow it.
Did he spell Dix D-Y-K-S?
No, he should have did that.
He should have done that. Anyway, so Enson Inoue looking great, and Egan Inoue looking extremely fucking stylish. Anybody who doesn't follow Egan Inoue on Twitter should, because Egan is fucking jacked right now. He is extremely, what is he, 41, 42, and he's in killer shape.
I haven't seen many of his newsletters lately, but I haven't been on Twitter all that much lately, so I've been missing out on the newsletters of Egan.
I swear I'm still his follower, so maybe he just hasn't been posting them. I don't know what he's doing.
I was the only person. I was the only person ever retweeting his fucking newsletters.
Well. I'm sure he gets paid as a personal trainer or whatever. So,
right.
You've got to... As a personal trainer, I think the whole deal is you also have to be like a fucking fitness personality. Otherwise, no one will take you seriously.
Sure.
So we've got notorious pussy hound and animal abuser Frank Shamrock, who had only recently left Pancras. He was 13-7-1 at this point in his career. And Enson Inoue, who is a animal lover of his pit bull's testicles dangling on whatever.
Yeah, his hand, his feet.
At this point, he was 8-2. So Enson Inoue, if you follow him on Twitter, you will see like it's just 99% pictures of his pit bulls and just doing funny things. The funniest thing I can remember recently was the mailman like couldn't get in the gate, so he jumped the fence, and then Enson's got a like security camera, and then you see the mailman fucking piss bolt backwards because Enson's giant fucking pit bulls are trying to eat it.
That reminds me.
Enson comes, opens the gate, and lets the guy in, and then the pit bulls are all extremely nice afterwards because like it's just they understood that the person had entered illicitly.
Yeah, that reminded me. I recall now Enson bringing fucking animals. Or not the same.
His
dogs.
Fucking pit bull into the ring.
Yeah. I was like, what is this, a fucking circus? Did they allow this? Whoa. Stop, hold on.
It was Japan. They let Enson do anything.
If we get these fucking guys to move out of the way, we're going to see our Vietnam correspondent has a new headband on.
He does. It's fucking vibrant orange.
Vietnam correspondent photographer update. He's changed his headband. Wow, he's so awesome.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
The other one must have got too sweaty.
Probably watching. Maybe he used it to wipe up the stink in the ring from fucking John Lewis. That actually okay. So at any Australian fight show, you have to bring your own towel and your own bucket and your whatever. And so in my fourth fight, I went into the ring, and then I knew the referee, and the referee said, "Oh, Alistair, can I borrow your towel for a second?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So he takes that towel and he mops up all the fucking blood in the ring from the previous fight, and then he hands it back to me. I'm like, "You can't. Why would you do this to me? You not have a fucking rag?"
Oh, that's fucked up.
So my friend Coconut, that's his name as a referee. He's got he's bald, white, and there's a Hitman tattoo on the back of his head.
Like Brett the
like
Hitman?
If that isn't the most fucking
like
the,
from the video
barcode
game.
tattoo.
Yeah.
So that's not the most fucking white guy MMA shit that there is. I don't know what it is. But Coconut, Ryan Green, he's an excellent referee, and I like him. But fuck you for taking my towel.
They don't have towels on hand for the fucking.
Like, I don't know why they didn't. Like, it was a really big show. That's Urban. So Urban's run by Ashkan and Suma Mokhtarian, who both fight for the UFC, and it is one of the biggest shows in Australia. And they just fucking didn't have a spare towel.
Send an email saying, "Hey, next time for your event, take $50 out of the profits and go to Walmart and buy some fucking towels." You know, just.
Yeah.
So what's going on? What's going on here with Enson's fucking? Do we see a little glimpse of a fucking ass tattoo here, or has he got like veins that are blown up?
That's Frank Shamrock's pubes.
Oh, that's Frank Shamrock on top, and that's okay. Yes. That's his ass hairs are just kind of fucking curled up. He's got like really, really long. These are ass hairs from the crack of his ass have come out, and they're just they're really long.
Dear. So Frank Shamrock, notorious poonhound. Back in the day, there's an interview with Sean Doherty because Sean Doherty fought in UFC 2. He got choked out by the fucking ninja, whatever the ninja's name was, and then they got picked up by the Lions Den and went and trained there. And so his entire time there, he just remembers Jason DeLucia, Frank Shamrock, and Vernon White just chasing pussy the whole time.
Wait, so the guy loses to a ninja at UFC 2, and that's the guy that the Lions Den picked up? They didn't like go after the ninja? Like
the ninja, I can't remember his name. He got wrecked by Pat Smith with the fucking elbows.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. But no, they really, because he was like 18 or 19, and he'd only just I think it was just straight up 18. Like, I only recently turned up at 18, and then fought in the UFC, and Ken liked the hustle. And so then, picked him up. I brought him to the fucking mess that was the Lions Den. Because it was a good place to learn to be a fighter or like get a fighter mindset, but fuck, it was not good for you as a human being.
Yeah, good to get some connections for the juice. You know.
Oh yeah. So according to Ken Shamrock's, so Jonathan Snowden, excellent author and just absolute sourpuss on the fucking internet. I'll talk about that later. But his book with his biography of Ken Shamrock is excellent. Like, I can't speak highly enough of it. But in that, they're talking about Ken's hookup for the drugs. Apparently, it was his fucking dad. His adoptive dad, Bob Shamrock, just knew how to get fucking anabolics. And so the reason why Ken's so fucking huge is because his fucking adoptive dad, Bob, was just injecting him in the butt, getting him large. But anyway, so Jonathan Snowden. So I wrote a review for his book, and I said, Jonathan Snowden has taken a break from getting into fights on Twitter to produce one of the most, apart from taking a break from getting into fights on Twitter, the review couldn't be more glowing. It was a really good book. I really enjoyed it. It's a great source for the back in the day of MMA. I give it a 5-star review. I take a screenshot. I post that to fucking Twitter. And then fucking Snowden comes and says, oh, do you like putting people down? I'm like, what the fuck? Do you not see the 5 stars?
Did he solicit this review from you?
Yes, he did. He asked for it.
So did he send you the book for free then?
Oh, no. I fucking backed it on Indiegogo. I gave him money ahead of time to get this damn book, which I got, it was supposed to be August last year it was supposed to come out. So it's 9 months late. It's very good. It's worth the money. I do recommend reading it. But, he takes himself way too fucking seriously.
That would be, I'm glad that the guy, this was way after the book was already done and published, but what's his, I don't even think I have the book anymore. It was like the History of Pride or whatever, Before the Fall. That's what it was called. It was it was okay, if I want to be nice about it, but it was like I was reading Wikipedia, the book. Like it was pretty dry, and I don't think it wasn't written in a way that was engaging. It was just sort of, and not that dry history is bad, but I think just the way it was set up, it just wasn't really an interesting read. And it's like there was like really no information in there that you couldn't have gleaned off of like Wikipedia.
There is a good book. It's called Pride Secret Files. You can get it as a fucking PDF online. And it's just all like the weird bullshit that went on behind the sines of Pride. That sounds good.
That sounds good. That would be like almost like the Takata Secret Files are.
The title's a bit like misleading. Like there's a few good things. I think I have the PDF somewhere. I'll send it to you so you can read it.
Oh, cool.
Like it is a little bit of behind the scenes, but it's not like, oh, this is where all the money from the Yakuza from and whatever.
Oh,
but
yeah. See, that would be the juicy story. But the Japanese are notorious. They keep that shit quiet, unless if you're an American and you don't abide by the code of silence, I think they blacklist you, because I think like Mark Coleman might be like blacklisted in Japan because he kind of spilled the beans on.
Because he admitted that he
took a dive against Takada, and I think Gary Goodridge might be the same as well, because he's said differing stories about.
The fight against Nagoya Ogawa.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't think you'll ever hear like Takada or any of those guys like admit like the stuff that was going on. You'll never get that in writing or.
Well, Funaki, so Masakatsu Funaki, he still stands by that every single fight ever in Pancrase was legit, despite the fact that we know there were quite a few. Well, not quite a few. There were 9 works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so, but he won't say anything. So even his match against Minoru Suzuki, which is obviously a work, it's obviously pro wrestling. Mm-hmm. But even that one, he says is still legit. So I think they still maintain kayfabe.
Yeah, I'm sure if you asked Takada, he would say that Kyle Sturgeon was his most dangerous opponent. If you asked him what happened to Kyle Sturgeon, has anybody seen Kyle Sturgeon after that fight with Takada?
I don't think so. I think they dragged him out the back and stabbed him with a pistol.
Right, exactly. It's like, Takada, do you know the whereabouts of Kyle Sturgeon?
I will neither confirm or deny. Oh, dear. So anyway, my point being, the Ken Shamrock biography is an excellent book. I do recommend buying.
Okay, good, that's good to know. But just know that the author, would you say his name was Jonathan Snowden?
Jonathan Snowden.
Yeah. Just know that he's a fucking baby, and
he's a giant fucking baby.
He can't.
But the thing is, he deletes his fucking, like, he knows he was wrong because he deleted the tweets that are in response to me. But rather than saying, "Oh fuck, sorry, dude, I overreacted," he's just fucking deleted the fucking tweet.
Yeah, just
what a cunt.
Yeah, he just erases.
Just pretending it doesn't exist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh well. It's a really good book. Buy it. Give him your money, but tell him to stop being a cunt.
Yeah, listen. Tell him it's okay. Listen, you can take a joke, buddy. Everybody can take a joke or take a little ribbing. It's okay. You know.
I don't know. Maybe it's quite possible I come off as a cunt in it. I'm not sure, but the fucking reviews out there. It's still on my Twitter, so anybody who wants to read it, tell me whether or not I'm being a cunt.
I would laugh at something like that if somebody said that about me, like taking a break off of causing trouble or doing whatever. You gotta be able to laugh at yourself and admit that, and see the parody in some of how you act. Like anybody could say anything about me, like joking, but like take one of my habits that are maybe define me, or not define me, but kind of make up who I am. And maybe it's something that's like personal to me, but you can make a joke about it and like point it out, and I would laugh. I would find it hilarious, but that's me, I guess.
Oh well. Also, I don't know. I am from a country where like gentle, mild bullying is just the norm in conversation, so maybe that's different.
Well, that used to be the way in America, and then we pussified a generation of youth. How old is this Jonathan Snowden? Is he like?
Oh, he's like 40. He's fucking not young.
Oh, well, but that's like guys my age. That was sort of like the time when they started taking stuff out of school and like wanting to protect kids. I found out from my nephew who's like 13 years old. They have PE twice a week, and the other 3 days a week they have anti-bullying classes. So instead of PE, so they'll have an anti-bullying class, talk about bullying. Then the next day they'll have PE. Then they'll go back. The next day they'll have the anti-bullying. I'm like, they really need to spend 3 days a week going over anti-bullying?
Telling you not to be shit to each other. Kids are going to be shit to each other. It's an unfortunate part of... Yeah. Oh, dear. So we've got Enson Inoue in mount here, by the way. There is a fight going.
Wait, let's pause it, because I'm telling you, kids, they need that. Yes, some kids might be bullied a little too hard and it goes too far, right? But you need the bullying, or you're not going to have your Bill Gates and your fucking Steve Jobs. You're not going to get those.
You need to be treated like shit. Otherwise, how are you going to become a better person?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was bullied as a kid, as everybody was. But I also, the worst thing I think I've ever done in my life is I bullied one particular child who didn't deserve it. And that is the worst thing I've ever done. I'd still have difficulty talking to that guy about it too, because, I don't know, it just wasn't the right thing to do. And I feel genuinely shit about that. I don't know if everybody else does, but I do. I think you should have the empathy to not be an absolute cunt to somebody for no fucking reason. But as a child, if somebody else is doing something just fucking dumb, tell them. That shouldn't be bullying.
No, I agree. And there's a fine line between going overboard and like having like no empathy or being like a psychopath. But it's a part of building your character. And, I'm sure guys like Bill Gates, I'm not saying that Bill Gates is a good guy or anything now. He might be a fucking globalist who wants to destroy the poor people and like eviscerate the population.
You're sounding like Alex Jones a bit.
Right. Anyway, this fight...
We're seeing a good brawl here from our fellas.
Yeah,
this is good stuff.
Yeah.
Comparatively, look, Bill Gates in terms of billionaires is one of the better ones because he actually gives some of his money to other people to do stuff. If you're talking about fucking billionaires who need to sort their shit out, fucking Jeff Bezos, man. Testicle.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that guy is fucked up.
Pay your fucking workers. God damn.
Yeah.
So we've seen a bit of a brawl here. Now, this fight is interesting because very often it is told as like, oh, this is one of the must-watch fights of early MMA. I feel like it's only one of the must-watch fights of early MMA because it has 30 seconds of interesting brawling right there. and it's two big names.
And
Enson and
Frank Shamrock's ass crack hair is coming out the side of his
exactly. That's the must watch here. And also probably because they're both in really good shape. Like the Vince McMahons are paying attention, like having an effect on everybody, and everyone's just seeing these two. The 30-second fucking footage on YouTube set to fucking, like, I don't know, Linkin Park, these two throwing punches at each other, and has suddenly become one of the must-watch fights of early MMA.
Like, do you think Vince McMahon would have just, like, gone nuts, like, to see these two guys
throwing down? Probably.
But no, just, like, not even that, just, like, standing in front of Vince McMahon motionless, you know, like, with their...
if they had a pump and, like... good knees from Frank there, and good knees from Enson as well. But if they both had a pump, yeah, Vince... Oh, nice knee, and that's the end of the fight there.
Whoa,
and Egan's running to fucking donkey punch Enson right in
Egan, like the ref hadn't even called it, and Egan was already bomb rushing Frank Shamrock, and this white guy's come in to fucking run interference and let Egan, but like Egan is. This is a great knockout.
Bang,
yeah. As soon as it's there, Egan's already in, and he fucking like
Egan's fucking coming.
He just crashes into him. This is awesome, and he just like double forearm elbows right into Shamrock's ass. Like he just barrels into him.
So the referee's in there to stop Frank from throwing punches, and then Egan's in there already.
Like Maurice Smith.
And so Maurice Smith's coming in to look after Frank.
Yeah, and he's like I said, this big white guy came in to run interference. Yeah.
Meanwhile, Enson's got no fucking clue what's going on. Why are all these people around me, man?
Like that would piss me off if I was Maurice Smith or I was Frank Shamrock and Egan. I don't care this is his fucking brother. Like we're in a professional fight here. What the fuck are you doing? Like I would have been livid. And I don't care if Egan here is saying like, oh, you know, buddy, I'm not doing anything. I'm just trying to, you know, I'd be like, you're fucking dead, man. I'm gonna get off. Yeah.
As a cornerman, you've got one option. You can throw the towel at anybody, or you can stay the fuck out of the ring and not do anything. Right. If you do anything more than that, you're a shit cunt and you shouldn't be in the fight.
I would have told Egan, get the fuck off me right now, and we're gonna fight. You're gonna have a second fight because there's no reason for that. For him to have his arms around him like that and to be holding him in a position to where he's pretty much he could have his way with you at that point. You know, like how he had him held.
Yeah. Well, Frank was gassed at this point too.
Yeah. And you know, with that also, I'm also pissed because Frank Shamrock, they declare this fight a disqualification. He was robbed of a knockout victory over Enson. Because Enson was knocked out.
Yeah, he was done. So what would happen with our two fighters here? Pancras, he would go on to win the UFC middleweight strap, and then he'd make Dana White hate him forever by leaving with the belt after beating Tito Ortiz, and eventually he'd retire after losing to Nick Diaz. Enson would have he'd have a career in Pride, and he was a legend in Japan, but he didn't do particularly well. Like, he beat Soichi Nishida twice. Who else did he beat in Pride?
Yeah, he fought that one guy in a grappling match, that Hawaiian, Kali Kapi Happy High or something like that, right?
Yeah. But anyway.
And then he fought Igor Volchanchin. He had a really bad fight.
He'd have big fights. Yeah, he'd have big fights, but he wouldn't really win the big fights. But he'd go on to retire in 2010 to hang out more often with his 4 gigantic and adorable pit bulls, as well as feeding stray fucking dogs in the Fukushima exclusion zone, braving radiation like a fucking badass. Unlike Frank, who left his goddamn dog at a fucking airport to go skiing. So who's the damn winner here in reality?
So the question is, did Frank Shamrock's dog at the airport, did it die?
So what happened was Frank, he collected this dog from his mother, and then rather than like calling up someone and saying, I've got to go somewhere, look after this dog for 4 days, left it in the back of a truck with like food and water for the 4 days. But it's still fucking dumb. Like, leave the dog with somebody. Surely you know somebody or a neighbor or something and just say, can you come by and feed my dog? Ugh. I don't understand it at all. I draw the line at fucking animal neglect.
Enson was looking really fucking ugly here. I don't know what's wrong with his face. Okay.
Oh, he's.
Okay, Daddy's coming. All right, well, we're gonna have to call it here.
I think we'll have to call it.
Right. I was gonna say I don't know what's wrong with Enson's face here. He just I don't know.
He's punch drunk. Look at his fucking eyes.
Yeah. His teeth are kind of Japanese like teeth. What was up with the Japanese and their bad fucking teeth? Everybody gives the British